what's up, everybody, and today we're taking a look at the CT Toys mafex Spider-Man. But before we take a look at the figure, we gotta take a look at the packaging. So as far as the box goes, right on the front here, this is the CT Toys packaging. It's kind of hard to get it in frame because my camera's kind of angled down a little bit. Maybe let me fix it a little bit. There we go. Now I got the full package in frame. I love how the mafex style boxes have the comic kind of corner box there. So you got a corner box of Spider-Man there, and they replaced a lot of the logos with their own logo. So you got the CT Toys logo right there. Nice backdrop on the inside. Got the Amazing Spider-Man right there, even though it is... Actually, is that the correct? I believe that's actually... Yeah, that's correct. That should be correct. So you got the Amazing Spider-Man logoing right there. Spider-Man classic costume version. CT Toys logo. On the back here, you got a very Mark Bagley style mask right there, but a very, was it either a Ditko or a John Romita type of Spider-Man logo there. Then you got the CT Toys figure right there. And on the back, you got some more pictures of the figure itself and some of the stuff it comes with. On this side, nothing too crazy. Top, nothing too crazy, except for that awful sticker. But that is pretty much it for the box, so let's take a look at the figure. Overall, this figure looks pretty cool and all, but he's just missing that, you know, Mark Bagley style comic book shading that I really wish was given to this figure. So, I'm going to do my best. Without further ado, let's get him painted up right now. And here we have him all painted up, and with that more accurate style of comic book artwork. Took a little while to do, but I think it came out pretty well. So let's go over the details and everything that I did for the figure. So starting off, basically all I really did was just give him a nice new comic style paint job, which is just kind of like a cell shade, because the base figure was just blue and red and had these sculpted in web lines and everything, so there's nothing too crazy to go over, but I did add all of this kind of comic style shading all around the figure, on the legs here and here, just all around. Try to make it as accurate as I possibly could. Didn't really look at too many references, but I did my best. So I did it all around the back here. The back, like, section, the whole back of this figure was the more difficult thing because I didn't have any references. So I kind of just had to go with the flow. And I think it came out pretty decent. The front, though, I had a little bit to work with. Just a little bit. So again, there's the legs, and then we get up to the kind of torso section. I think it came out pretty well. I'm actually I'm quite happy with how it came out. And then, of course, underneath the armpits on both sides, right there and there. I think it came out as good as it possibly was. You got some at the top there, and some more on the arms and such. Tried to get as much of the important areas as possible, and I'm quite happy with how it came out. But we will take a look at this head, because this head is just how it came out of the box. Didn't do anything to the heads, even though I was really thinking about it. But I kind of wanted to keep those, the heads, kind of clean. I just did a little bit on the neck there. But yeah, this sculpt is really, really, really nice. I really do love this sculpt. And I think the paintwork that CT Toys did is pretty on par. They did a really, really good job. And this really does perfectly invoke the Mark Bagley style. And I really do love this figure. I didn't do much to the hands at all, if any. I did do a little bit with the feet. Overall, it's a very nicely done, nicely sculpted, and with my paintwork, it just elevated the figure and just made him just a little bit more, dare I say, interesting. Aside from amazing detail, this Spidey does come with a pretty decent amount of accessories, so let's talk about his accessories. So, starting off with accessories, you do get, straight out of the box, you do get these kind of open, relaxed hands, and of course that head sculpt. Then you do get a pair of wall-crawling hands. And then you do get a pair of Spidey fists. 2 absolutely mandatory Spider-Man thwipper hands. And then you do get some web-holding hands. As for heads, you of course have this head straight out of the box. And then you do get this head, which is just kind of slightly, with squinted eyes. And then for some other accessories, do get a pair of magnetic feet and a pair of magnetic hands, which, switching out the hands is the usual, same old, but I will show you how to switch out the feet. So you're just going to want to take the foot here, take it off the peg, and then put one of these feet on, and it should just go, oops, it wanted to flip all the way around, but you just take it and put it in, and it should just go straight into the peg like so, and there you have the magnetic feet. Now, unfortunately, the magnets are really not that strong, and I'm not really one to use magnetic feet, so I will just be keeping the normal ones on, which is why I didn't paint the magnetic feet. But that is, that accessory, and it's a nice one to, still include. Now, for the final bit of accessories, you do, of course, get these web effects. You get this one kind of long swinging one. You do get 2 of these kind of medium range ones. You get 2 of these kind of short range ones. And then you do get this kind of long spindly web one. So I will show you how these work here. Using the figure here, you can take the web slinging one and it just goes into the hand like so, and that's how you get them to have a web in the hand. Pretty standard. And then when it comes to this one, you just take off the wrist there, and we'll just put a long one in just because I like the long ones. But you just put the kind of hoop on the ring, right there, and then place the hand back on, and there you have that web effect. So that's pretty much how the web effects work. Pretty standard Spider-Man web effects. I think they work out pretty well. But that is pretty much, oh, also, forgot, this one, you just plug into the hand. So there you have that one. Now they're all done. So pretty decent, accessories. I quite like every single one of them. Yeah, pretty good accessories. Now with the accessories out of the way, let's talk articulation. As for the articulation, his head here, his head can look down pretty much about that far. Can look up pretty much all the way. I'm sure there's like a peg in there. If you switch around, you could probably get some more range. But he has a ball joint here, and should have a ball joint at the neck, although it's a bit stiff. He does have butterfly joints that go forward pretty much all the way, backward pretty much all the way. His arm can do a full 360 all the way around. Has up and down movement, goes up about that far, and down pretty much all the way. Bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows, hinge, and swivel at the wrist, and didn't want to hinge there for a second. Then as for the torso, there's a diaphragm joint right here, and a waist diaphragm right here. So you can crunch forward pretty much about that far. And, well, since it is CT Toys, it likes to pop out, but no matter, you can just pop it back in. You can crunch backward pretty decently far. Just be careful not to pop the torso off. like I am. For the legs, they have a drop down, so you can just drop them down, and it goes forward about that far, and goes back pretty much about that far. You can split pretty decently. Has a thigh cut right there, and then double jointed knees. And then as for the foot, go up about that far, back about that far. There is of course ankle pivot and a toe bend. So he's just as articulated as you would expect a mafex style figure to be. And he's pretty much damn near the same figure as the official one, just on a budget. And honestly, it's pretty good quality for it being pretty much a mafex Spider-Man on a budget. And definitely the scale does work really well with the official mafex Venom. But anyway, with articulation out of the way, let's go into a pose test. So now that we've done the pose test, and I hope you guys did enjoy that little segment, it's now time to do the scale. So we will see how well this Spidey scales with some other Spider-Man figures. And first off, sorry, I had to kind of grab him out of frame because I kind of forgot to put him here, but here he is, next to another Mark Bagley Spider-Man, which is the Ultimate Spider-Man from Marvel Legends, or, you know, my custom, sort of. So that's how he looks next to the Ultimate Spider-Man. And then we will just move on to the other three types of size comparisons here. So next up, what we'll do is pose him next to the kind of Bagley style Scarlet Spider, you know, oops. God, this guy does not like standing at all. Or otherwise known as the Ben Reilly Spider-Man. So that's pretty much how he looks next to the Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider. Now the Scarlet Spider is actually pretty much the same size as the official. Well, CT Toys is a little bit smaller, so hopefully the scale isn't really too terrible. And then, of course, we got to put them up next to some villains. So here is the Mark Bagley Spider-Man next to the Bagley Venom. As you can see, I think they work really well together. CT Toys being smaller, I think it works well with Venom here. And then for the last and final comparison, I'll just put him in right next to Venom, just for that kind of maximum comparison. Yep, that was a pun and a nod to Maximum Carnage. I'll scoot these guys over, but as you can see, come on, stay standing. There they all are next to each other, and honestly, I think it works pretty well. It's not too terrible. Spider-Man may be a little short, but I still think it works. But that is pretty much it for the size comparisons. So next up, what we'll do is take a look at the final thoughts, and I'll tell you what I think about this figure in general. So as for the final thoughts on this figure, it's a pretty nice figure. I think it's a pretty perfect clone of the original mafex Spider-Man, albeit at a kind of smaller scale, due to CT Toys going for a pretty small scale for some reason. I honestly don't know why they do the small scale that they do. Maybe it's to kind of bypass, copyright infringement or something. But it was also pretty fun to paint. Came out pretty well. I always do love doing cel shading, even though it does take a considerable
considerable amount of time to do. Overall, I really do enjoy this figure, and it's very nice and sturdy for a bootleg too. So, I'm not worried about joints breaking or anything like that. The only thing I'm worried about is paint rub, potentially. But other than that, it is absolutely perfect. The magnets for the hands and feet, though, obviously those don't really work as well. I don't even think the official mafex ones really work that well either. But you do get a lot of really nice accessories, a lot of nice head sculpts. Well, only 2 head sculpts, but nice to have like a regular Peter head sculpt. But this is a knockoff of a very specific version of this mafex Spidey. But overall, I think they did a fantastic job. It's an absolutely amazing figure. But anyway, be sure to follow my socials, my Insta and my TikTok for more action figure related posts. And I will catch you guys in the next video, which will more than likely be another mafex custom video or maybe a Sonic video. But anyway, that's all for now. Bye.